This is supposed to say, if a line is parallel to one side of a triangle, and it intersects the other two sides, and it divides the two sides proportionally. So you see those little arrows there, that means that they're parallel. And you are then allowed to say that RT corresponds to TQ. So you don't have to take the entire side now, you can just take the pieces of it. And that is equal to RU, bless you, RU over US. So because you have parallel lines, the pieces are proportional, not just the entire side lengths. The smaller pieces here. Converse of that, flip it around. If you can prove that the side lengths are proportional, then you know that you have parallel lines. So for example, say we have, plenty of time today, 7 and 3.5, and let's say 5 and 2.5. If you have decimals, go ahead and divide it on your homework today. A lot of the ones that you'll see have decimals, and so I would divide them instead of simplifying the fraction. So I could do 7 over 3.5. If I actually divide that, what do I get? 2. And then likewise, 5 divided by 2.5, does that give me 2? Yeah. And so because these proportions are equal to one another, you are allowed to say that TU is parallel to QS. These two lines will be parallel. It's just the reverse of the one we just did. So check that the side lengths are proportional. Not the side lengths, the pieces are proportional and you're good. This next one's super similar. If you have 3 parallel lines, it divides the transversals, the lines that are going across it, proportionally. So for this one, we could say, UW corresponds to WY, and that is equal to VX over XZ. So again, we're talking about the pieces, not just the entire sides, which makes it a little bit easier and faster. This piece to that is equal to this piece to that. And then the last one is angle bisector. Please remember that an angle bisector cuts an angle exactly in half, making 2 smaller congruent angles. So we know we have an angle bisector here because it's marked as such. If you have an angle bisector, it'll divide the opposite sides proportionally and the 2 other sides proportionally. So A corresponds to B, and that would be equal to C over D because you have an angle bisector. We're doing 6 examples. I think pretty much on every single one of them, you're going to need to cross multiply and solve quickly, so please have a calculator ready. We're going to go fast. Because we have solved so many proportions. We're going to talk about how to set it up, and then you're going to do the rest. In this picture, I hope that you notice you have an angle bisector because the angles are marked congruent right here. And since that's the case, this opposite side is divided proportionally as well as the sides that are adjacent to the angle that's being bisected. Okay, we need to know this piece. You don't want to use a different variable. You don't want to use y. What can I label it using the current variable x? this whole thing is 15. We know that this piece is x. What could I label that? The smaller part. Sam, what could I label it?
X sub 1.
Say it again.
X sub 1. Or the X. What's the...
Like subscripts, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that.
We could do that. I think there's a simpler way using the numbers that we actually already have. How could I use 15 to label that part?
15 minus x.
There we go. 15 minus x. Because you're taking that entire side, you're subtracting off x, you get 15 minus x. Now, write your proportion. Because you have an angle bisector, the opposite side is divided proportionally. 15 minus x corresponds to x. That is proportional to 7 over 13. Cross multiply and solve, please. I'm not going to do that part for you. Make sure 15 minus x goes in parentheses when you do that. You take your headphones out while we take notes. Okay, I'm going to go with a general consensus because I have not actually solved this myself. I think that's what we got last hour too. 9.75. Okay, next, number 2. Ready? This one has 3 parallel lines. They happen to be streets. Main Street, 2nd Street, South Main Street. Our job is to find the distance between Main Street and South Main Street. Oh, wait. Is that right? Okay, yeah. We're going to first find that missing piece that is labeled for you, x. Because these are all equally apart, they're parallel, so we can say 120 corresponds to what? Yep, we're going to call that x. And then the other one would be 150 over 300. You might be able to get this without cross multiplying and solving just by looking at the proportions. But if you need to cross multiply and solve, go ahead and do that. So we're finding the distance GH right now, x. And then we'll find from Main Street to South Main Street. Okay, I'm seeing 240 for x. That is this part right here. You are asked for Main Street to South Main Street. So add these two pieces together. In total, that would be 360. Yeah, 360. And our units is yards. Because we're talking about this entire part. Okay, next one. Find the length of AB. These lines are parallel, so they divide the pieces proportionally. You can label AB x, or whatever variable you want. X corresponds to 6. What has to go on the top of the next fraction? 5, and then 5 over 10. You might be able to do this without cross multiplying and solving. Just look at the fractions. What do they need to simplify to? What would x have to be? to make the proportions equal. Why does it have to be 3? Yeah. We need both of them to simplify to 1/2. You'll get the same thing if you cross multiply and solve. 3. 3 over 6 equals 5 over 10. Number 5. Label A, B, X again. You have parallel lines. Your proportion X would have to correspond to 7. And then 2 to 9. Solve. Instead of rounding it, you should leave it as 1.5 repeating with the repeating bar on top. So don't round it to 1.6, let's leave it like that. Okay, and then the last two. Number 6, you have another angle bisector. So it divides that base part, the opposite side, proportionally, x to 5. And so then 9 corresponds to 15. Please solve. I don't remember what we get. What is it? 3? Yeah. They both need to simplify to 3/5. So 3. And the last one, we have one similar to this on the front. You know the entire bottom side is 14. What do I need to label this piece then? This part right here, 14 minus b. And please set up your proportions. So 14 minus b goes with b. That would have to be equal to 6.75 over 9. Solve the last one. When you do that, summarize your notes, and whenever you're good to go, you are welcome to start working on your assignment. I have a feeling you'll probably finish it in class today. Yes, ma'am. 1.5 repeating, yeah.